Okay, great. Take it away.
Okay. Thanks for having me. I'm David Temkin. I want to show you this product called Editions. People seem like they're pretty engaged with this category of product. That's kind of good to know. Editions is it's an iPad app that delivers a daily magazine built just for you. And so you get the kind of familiar magazine form factor with all the things that people have been trained for years and years of reading magazines to expect. But there's some science fiction added into it. Each edition, from the cover down to the contents, what sources are included in it, what topics, is composed just for you. So what we're looking at here is, these are the last few days. This is a daily publication right now. It goes kind of against the real-time trend. If you're a Twitter addict, this is pretty different. It comes in once a day. You'll notice right now the personalization begins with the mailing label, which actually has my name and address on it, if you can read that from there. We're in here. This is the kind of today page here. And what I've got is cover story, weather where I am, what's my schedule for the day. So what's going on here? Picture yourself with a cup of coffee. It's in the morning. You're looking at, well, what do I have in front of me? What's going on in the world? That's what this page tells you. And if I happen to have a friend who's got a birthday on Facebook there, it tells me right there, and I can wish them a happy birthday, save you a little bit of work. And it's organized like a magazine. It doesn't just get laid out like a magazine, it's organized like a magazine. So you're looking at a table of contents, top news section. I can navigate the sections either by page or right down here. Let's jump to the top news section. And we're getting what is the top story, or what it believes is the top story for me. Now, one thing to note here is that there's actually two things going on. One is, yes, we're picking out things that you've identified as your interest, and I'll show you how that works in a second. But we're also going out there and scanning a bunch of sites with an interesting algorithm to figure out what is important right now. Because if I come in, I say, hey, I've got all the news in the world on fly fishing and nuclear reactors, that's not necessarily the most important stuff in the world today. We want to tell you what matters to you. So I'll go into a section. We've got a bunch of articles laid out in a magazine-style fashion. If I click on any one of these articles, it's going to pull up the full article on the web. And I can tell the application, well, I want more or less content from the Wall Street Journal. Maybe I actually don't want to hear about Libya. Okay, and that's going to personalize it so the next edition I get has more or less information from each of the sources I identified. So very personalized. And here's the point where I'll say, I work for AOL. This is an AOL product. I hope some of you are surprised. I hope in a good way. And so, yes, we do have this on CD-ROM, and we can mail it to you. And so, if you're having trouble with your Wi-Fi or 3G, when the article that's being presented is actually owned by AOL, we actually can present the entire content inside the magazine format like this. Otherwise, what we do is we present what you're seeing here, which is the photo, the excerpt, and you link out to the publisher's site, which we think is a win-win for the user and for the publisher. The magazine's got local news. It's got actually on the order of 16 sections that you can pick from. That's some of the customization you can do. What sources do I want? What sections do I want? What color do I want the banner to be? What's the text size that I want? I can show my profile and and so on. And I can show what interests I have and what sources I want. And we wanted to deliver a really great experience here, which isn't just about the content and the user interface. It's also about the advertising. This is something that just rolled out a couple days ago, for those of you who are using this app. We've partnered with a company called Cool Iris, and we are doing interactive 3D advertising inside of this product. And this is something we feel is a nice fit for kind of the high-touch design of the product proper. And the advertiser, which is BMW in this case, we also have Autodesk on as an advertiser. They love this. This is a high bar, kind of beyond what you could do with a web ad or an HTML5 ad. And one thing, the final thing that the users of this app really love is that it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. I read it. It's organized to be something I can feel like I can finish. It's not like reading an aggregator, a generic aggregator, a Twitter feed. You can go on and on and on. People love the sense of being able to complete it. In terms of lessons, what did we learn while doing this? We learned a ton of stuff. But one thing that I wanted to point out was, in the lesson that I identified here, is it is actually possible to create an innovative app inside of a big company. It's not easy. How many of you work in big companies, not in startups? Okay, it's definitely a minority here. The interesting thing, you're in a startup, you can move quickly, you can make your own decisions. Everything is about the product you're working on. You don't have to worry about other products and other strategies. There's two things that affected this during development. I think both of them are sort of classic big company issues. One is what people call the innovator's dilemma, which is, let's say that it took around 10 people to build Editions, which it did. Well, maybe those 10 people could have been applied to, hey, if we create this extension to this existing site with 10 million UVs, we're going to double our revenue in a very short period of time. And meanwhile, there aren't a ton of users on Editions. It's pretty popular. It's doing very well in its market, which is very crowded. But it's not like, this is a company that has 120 million monthly unique users on all of its content properties. This is still a drop in the bucket relative to that. So you've got to make the case of, why do I want to make this investment in this still very small nascent market? What's it going to do for us long term? And I'll confess that there are people inside the company who don't get that. The second thing that goes on is what I'll call the strategy tax. You're in a big company, there's going to be an overarching strategy where each little product has to conform in one small way or in a big way to that product. So every product gets slightly compromised. And you have to kind of fight this. And so the question is, well, why isn't this called Huffington Editions? Well, I guess it could be, but that's not the product we're building. We're trying to solve a different problem for the user. This is not about delivering published original content to the user. This is about curating an experience across the web and delivering a unique reading experience. So that's kind of, I think that we're blessed to work in a company that liked this, but it took a certain amount of work to get it over the line.
It's a really great product, and I use it every 2 or 3 days. So very well done. Let's hear it for David.